Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, or Mike if you prefer, and I got a review for you today. Today we're going to be talking about from Image Comics, Purr Evil, issue number 1. It is written by Mirka and Adolfo, art by Laura Braga, inks by Giovanni, Manca, colors by Bryan, Valenza, and letters by Fabio, Amelia. This is the Mirka and Adolfo cover, and then I picked up the Laura Braga cover. Before we get started, please like, comment, and subscribe on this guy's channel. It does help. The likes and comments, go a long way. It's all free, doesn't cost you anything. Hit the bell if you're so inclined. It'll keep you in touch when I do drop reviews and videos. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before we get started, I will say that there are some parts of this book that aren't clear yet. Specifically like the first couple of pages, because we're greeted by one of the main characters. She's in like this hotel lobby with a whole bunch of dead people eating a sandwich, as like this guy kind of climbing out of the pool. She does some weird stuff, and we see some like cat's eyes and chanting and stuff like that. I will zoom in as good as I can, but as you can see, when she does that, there's like cat claws that actually come out of this guy's wound, and it kind of looks like he explodes after that. Next up, we see our other main character, and we'll get to their names in a second because, like I said, none of this is really explained at the moment. The book kind of cuts over, and we get another kind of scene that didn't make sense at first, but it's a rock concert, and we find out it's like a memory. This couple right here, which happens to be Steve, is another one of the main characters, and his wife, I think her name is Elena or Elena, Elaine maybe. But recently she has deceased. She is the mother of the other set of main characters. That's Steve and his son Rob, and they're at the wake. Also there is Elaine's mother, Rob's grandmother, and she is not happy with Steve. She claims that it's because of the music that she was into, kind of thing. The book jumps over, and we go back to, I guess, where Steve and Rob, because they're kind of the main characters that the book follows, at least in this issue. But we find out that they own an apartment building. I don't know if we find out where this takes place. I want to say it's like New Jersey or New York, something like that from the appearance. Don't quote me on that part. But basically he owns this apartment building, and our other two main characters that are featured on the main cover, they happen to be renting a room in his his apartment building or whatever. He hears some weird noises coming from the room of the said other main characters, and that's kind of when we get to meet them. And it's basically Angela, and that's who we're greeted with at first, and she is the mom, and then we get to meet the daughter pretty soon, and that is Deborah. But we get a little information. Basically, they're staying at this apartment for a short period of time. They're paying cash up front. There's a lot of strange noises that come out of their room. They come out kind of damaged, because you can see right here she's got a whole bunch of band-aids from, I'm assuming, that earlier situation kind of thing. But we also learned that she has told them that they work in a paper factory, and that's why they have all the cuts and stuff like that. She ends up giving him the month's rent early to keep him from being bothered by the noises, kind of thing. And he sees that there's blood on the envelope. We quickly find out that she is a neat freak. She grabs him and takes him inside, and that's where that part kind of jumps out. This is where we meet Deborah, and we find out that Rob and Deborah, they had using the old Windows system, that they're hanging out the windows talking to each other, but they're around the same age, and we find out that they have a similar passion for manga and video games and other things, and they've been hanging out ever since they've moved there. It jumps back over to inside the apartment, and it's basically like, she's cleaning like the blood off of his fingers because he said it was like jam, and she's basically trying to, not let him figure out that she's got blood on an envelope kind of thing. But there's not a whole bunch of information that goes on at this point, besides the fact that they're only going to be there a short time, that they're kind of hiding who they are kind of thing, and that the kids have a relationship. There is something else that the father notices, and it specifically has to do with her tattoos. He kind of goes back to that. He goes back to his wife, and his wife had the same tattoos as this girl, or similar tattoos. And not only that, but the same, like, lead singer, that she had the same tattoos or something. So he starts forming this connection, and he starts, like, in the background, he starts kind of, looking in, like, into a mystery kind of thing. He starts believing that the lead singer is still alive because she is supposed to be dead. And so maybe it's the same person, claiming to be someone else kind of thing. There's a conversation with the two kids about, like, how she's gonna end up, leaving pretty soon, and he doesn't want that to happen because they're getting closer connected kind of thing. There's a timetable that kind of comes up at one point, and Angela keeps rushing Deborah around. We learn that basically when they are at the apartment, they don't really leave, and all the neighbors and everybody kind of notices kind of thing. But the mom comes off to be real controlling. There's some conversations in the background with the mom and the daughter about, like, her, like, talking differently to fit in. So we kind of have more shots of, like, him doing his whole mystery and him believing that she's this ex-dead singer that him and his wife used to like or whatever. And the band that they keep talking about is called the Stepsons. He even questions if she was a Stepson fan because of the tattoo, and she gets all weirded out about it, and that's kind of what sparks his whole, like, mystery into it, was because of his answer kind of thing. There's a panel over here of the kids texting, which I'll get to in a second, because it kind of explains this scene right here, because he's woken up to Angela, like, choking the hell out of him, and she's screaming, "Where's my daughter?" kind of thing. And come to find out, they end up, like, in the middle of the night, texted, and they end up leaving. And I think it's mentioned that they might have that the dad thinks that they might have went to the mall or something like that. At this point, Angela is stating that they had somewhere to be, and that it, time is playing a factor, and they need to get the hell out of here. It was supposed to be the day they were going to leave, and not only that, but they do have somewhere that they have to be. And she ends up, storming out and taking off. She ends up leaving her door open to her apartment. And of course, he's on this whole mystery kick, so he does what every normal person would be. He breaks into her apartment and goes in there and starts looking around. When he goes into her room, he sees all kinds of stuff that he probably wasn't ready for, but it looks like a whole bunch of guns, knives, swords, all kind of weapons slewing up on the wall. But before he can even, get further into the mystery, and he does find this book that has these weird, like, cat faces and stuff on. But he is greeted by none other than Jason Van Deer, who was the lead singer in that band, and he's he has some thugs with him, and basically he's looking for Angela and Deborah. And at this point, the way it sounds is he's looking for his daughter, so it looks like Angela and this guy had, like, some kind of relationship thing. Before Steve tells him a story, but before that, he tells him that they already moved out, and they just left all this stuff. But one of the henchmen notices this book and says that Angela wouldn't have left that behind, and instantly we see what happens. Angela comes back. She ends up shooting, I'm assuming, because they show the gun with Angela right there, but the way her head explodes, it's got to be a real powerful caliber of a gun. I don't know, but we do see that she goes toe-to-toe with this guy Jason, and she's claiming that, she's never going to find her daughter. At this point, we learn that Jason didn't even know what his daughter's name was, and that he just learned that kind of thing. At this point, it's kind of not said, but we're learning that she's on the run from this dude, and that's why they've been moving from place to place, kind of thing. Like I said, it's not really like, you know, heavily said, but it's implied that that's what's going on. That okay, at this point, Angela kind of states to the dad, because Jason, he ends up teleporting, and we find out that he wasn't even there. It was some kind of like magical astral projection. It freaks Steve out, and Steve's like, what the hell is going on? Angela just mentions that she needs to find her daughter, because the more he stays around with the son, that let me see exactly what she says. She says, oh, he could be corrupted, and corrupted beyond a point where he can be saved. And that's kind of why I was zooming into this right here. They show Rob over here, and he has all these like cats in the background. Of course, I'm assuming he can't see the cats, but it looks like, you know, maybe they weren't there in the beginning and now they are, or something like that. But that's where this issue leaves off. You know, you get this splash page with all the good info. We get some commercials, and we do get a I would say a very brief cover, you know, glimpse of from issue 2 kind of thing. But no, all it says is the dark past meows at the door. You know, it doesn't really give us too much, but it says next month. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think there's enough mystery for me to keep going. There's not a lot of information about what's going on, besides that we kind of know that Angela and Deborah are on the run from this guy Jason, which he seems to have some magic. It seems like the mom has some magic with the cat stuff going on. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff we just don't know. But for a first issue, it was pretty good. There was a couple occasions where I caught myself having to go back, because I was like the part where she like broke into his apartment and was like waking him up out of his sleep. That kind of caught me off, where I was like, wait a minute, did I miss something? But other than that, it was a fantastic read. Of course, I love the art. I love the writer, Mirka and Laura being two of my favorite people in comic books. Mirka being my top. I got some Mirka right over there. But this is my review, my thoughts. You let me know down below if you read it, if you passed it up. You know, let me know anything you want to let me know. I love all that stuff, right? But this is my review, my thoughts. I'll let you guys go.